Hey y'all, I'm Lara Luna, and this is episode 3 of Trailer Park Angel. Today, we're going to be talking about angel number 333. Now, this number shows up when you've got support all around you from your angels, guides, and spiritual dream team. It's also about teamwork, divine humor, and getting a little help when you're knee-deep in chaos. Basically, it's heaven's way of saying, we're still with you, but you might want to reconsider your current life choices. Which brings us to the Veteran's Secret Mission. It starts with me on my morning walk, just doing my usual lap around the park, when I see 3 of our veterans huddled up by a truck, whispering like middle schoolers about to pull a prank. Only this wasn't about toilet paper, it was about weapons. One's a retired sheriff, one's a former Navy officer, and the third is an Army Ranger who still talks like he's on night patrol at Cabela's. They were showing off firearms, whispering things like, "The Mauser'll stop it if it's close," and "What about the AR?" I couldn't tell if they were prepping for a wild hog or an alien invasion, but they had a plan either way. I walked right up behind them and said, "Well, if y'all aren't going hunting, you should probably post a lookout." They jumped so high, one of their life alerts started going off. We call these 3 the Geriatric Commandos. Real sweet guys, but still think they're 25 and bulletproof. They wouldn't tell me what was going on at first until I guessed it. The hog. We'd had this monster-sized hog tearing up everybody's yard for weeks. Looked like a small car with tusks. We started calling him Gumbo Jones. Apparently, these 3 were planning to go after it at night in the Florida woods, like this was some kind of trailer park takedown. The Army Ranger, he was calm as could be, standing there in camo Crocs, holding a big stick like it was Excalibur. He said, "Operation Swamphog steps off at 2100. Visibility low. No QRF. Roger." I told him, I'm gonna need Google Translate for that, but y'all have fun. As soon as I got home, I called the Ladies Wine Night crew. I said, "Get ready. The Geriatric Commandos are going on a trailer park takedown. Get your binoculars and pour the wine. I'm coming over." Miss Dottie, our former Marine, said, "Come to my house. I got night vision goggles and enough beer to last till dawn. Because once a Marine, always a Marine." So there we were, retired ladies crouched behind the lanai screen with wine glasses, binoculars, and enough beer to host a redneck reunion. Someone brought sangria, someone brought popcorn, and someone tripped on a flip-flop and nearly wiped out the cheese tray, but we got quiet again when we saw him. The boys entered the woods. 3 brave men, 1 hog, and a whole lot of bad decisions. Now, while the Geriatric Commandos were out playing Rambo in the Palmettos, we were having ourselves a little recon mission of our own, right there in Miss Dottie's lanai, which we call the Oasis. It's got 2 tiki torches, a plug-in waterfall, a plastic flamingo named Stan the Man, and a fan that sounds like it's taken off for Tampa. Miss Dottie poured another round and said, "If they come back with ticks, I ain't driving them to urgent care." Savannah's over there with binoculars upside down, saying, "I think I see him. Wait, no, that's a squirrel." Then the screen door slammed open and Miss Ginger strutted in, wearing leopard print pajama pants and holding a boxed wine like it was a baby. She said, "Well, I just lit a prayer candle and poured tequila on it by mistake. So now we're protected and blessed." We all laughed. I looked out toward the trees and said, "Y'all know one of them's going to trip over a root and pull his hip out." Miss Tammy sipped her sangria and said, "That's fine, as long as one of them gets footage of the hog. I got $20, says they come screaming back like little schoolgirls." And Miss Ginger, bless her heart, she says, "I just want to know which one's going to cry first. My money's on the Navy guy. They always cry." About 20 minutes later, screaming, blood-curdling, grown men, fear screaming. First out of the woods comes the sheriff, and then the Navy guy, tearing through the brush like they were on fire. I saw it! I dropped my flashlight! Forget the flashlight! Run!" Right behind him, walking out like he was headed to a family barbecue, came the Army Ranger. Stick in hand, Crocs in sport mode, not even breathing heavy. He looked at the other two with their mouths hanging open and just said, "Target undetermined. Civvies in the AO. Suggest immediate exfil. Over." He disappeared behind the hibiscus like a legend. We didn't see the other two for 2 full days. They wouldn't answer their doors, and they wouldn't open their blinds. Didn't even come out for Publix fried chicken, which is when we knew something was really wrong. Finally, on the 3rd morning, the sheriff waved me over from his carport. His face looked like someone had stolen his soul and his Medicare card. He said real quiet, It wasn't no hog." I blinked a couple times. Then, what was it? He just stared at the ground, swallowed hard, wouldn't say. Then the Navy guy emerged from the shadows like he'd aged 10 years. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "It had eyes, big eyes, glowing, and it was swaying like it was waiting." We all leaned in. Nobody breathed. And then he whispered, "It was the skunk ape." Now, for those not from around here, skunk ape is Florida's version of Bigfoot, only greasier, smellier, and far more sarcastic and mean. They said it was 10 feet tall, crouched behind a palm tree, staring them down like it had dinner plans and they were the entree. Smelled like gym socks, wet dog, swamp gas, and Miss Millie's spicy stew. The Navy guy said, "You ever smell something so foul your soul tries to leave your body?" That's what it did to me. And I said, or maybe that was just Mr. Earl. Y'all know he gets ripe after bingo night. Few mornings later, I'm passing the sheriff's house and he calls me over. He says, "You're the one that writes about angel numbers, right?" I said, "Yeah, that's me." He goes, "What number explains what happened?" And I told him, 333. He said, 333. Yep, it's the number of divine support, spiritual team backup, and community protection. It shows up when things get weird or when you're about to learn something important. I said, "Look, you don't need to go to church or light a candle. You just gotta say, 'Hey angels, I'm scared. Help me out.' And they do, every single time." Just then, the Army Ranger stepped out of a nearby bush and said, "Heavenly fire confirmed. Angelic QRF N route. Roger." The sheriff looked like he was about to cry. The Navy guy pulled out a Slim Jim and crossed himself. And the Ranger, just kept walking, stick in hand, Crocs still in sport mold. This whole operation had gone from Swamphog Black Ops to a full-blown Charlie Foxtrot, and the only backup we had was a boxed wine and a pair of Crocs. So if you're thinking about heading out for a hog hunt, especially if you're part of the Geriatric Commandos and your I'm still young, damn it, Black Ops team, maybe think twice before tromping into a Florida swamp after dark. Because as this story proves, the scariest thing out there ain't always what you're hunting. Sometimes it's what's watching you from behind a palm tree. And if that ever happens, call your angels, pour a glass of wine, and maybe invest in some holy water, night vision goggles, and a ranger with Crocs. You never know what kind of critters are lurking out there on the nature coast. And one final message from the ranger. Recon complete. Negative hog visual. Unidentified bipedal target confirmed. Approximately 10 feet tall. Emitting strong foul odor. Repeat. Stinks like a gym sock left in a bait bucket. Switching Crocs to sport mode. Code Foxtrot initiated. Full freakout in progress. No hogs, veterans, or plastic flamingos were harmed in the making of this episode. But someone might need therapy. My money's on the Navy guy. Hey, thanks for listening. And I'll be dropping these episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell if you want to listen to more real-life adventures from a Florida trailer park. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.